there are two forms of tax that we can influence as entrepreneurs. So there is our personal tax. That's the tax that you personally pay. Okay, you've got an influence over that with how you structure things. And then there's business tax. And again, you have an influence over that with how you structure things. Okay, clearly there are other taxes like GST, for instance, fuel levies, custom taxes, and on and on and on and on and on. But we don't have any influence over them, neither can we influence them, okay? So the two that really matter for us are personal tax and business tax. So let's take them one by one. Personal tax. Well, pretty simple. Your personal tax rate is dictated by where you are domiciled for tax. There's no other way around that. So if you are in Australia and you are a tax resident of Australia, then you are subject to the normal personal income tax rates of Australia, okay? If you, for instance, were to move to another country, Portugal, for instance, Bermuda, Switzerland, Dubai, Malaysia, wherever it may be, then you would be subject and make yourself a resident there for tax, then you would be subject to that tax rate instead. And that is what you will see lots and lots of people who are looking to mitigate their tax do. They will put themselves into another country where the tax rate is lower, and they will domicile themselves there so that they are taxed at that rate instead of the original originating country's rate, okay? There's a whole thing in the UK at the minute with the Chancellor of the Exchequer, his wife, brilliant entrepreneur in and of her own right. She's what's called a non-dom in the UK. This is something that a big reason why the UK left the EU was so that they could continue to become a tax haven for non-doms. That's a whole different discussion, but it's that sort of thing. So where you put yourself personally is important. There's a lot of factors that can get you into a trap. The biggest being something called a nexus. And simply put, the tax office in Australia, for instance, is pretty savvy. They know a lot of the kind of crazy shit that entrepreneurs and wealthy people will do to try and mitigate their taxes. One of them is that they will put themselves into a low tax jurisdiction, Bermuda, for instance, but they'll continue to live in Australia. Well, you can't do that. That's what that is you having what's called a nexus in Australia, but purporting to be a tax resident of Bermuda. Clearly, you'll get your ass fried for that, okay? So it's complicated, but in and of itself, that's how you do it. And the amount of time you spend out of Australia and in your new tax jurisdiction is the main thing that matters, okay? Typically, it's 183 days for most countries, but you'd need to check for yourself. Next, business tax. This is a little bit more interesting. You can put your business, for the most part, you can put your business wherever the hell you want to put it. So you could put it in the Cayman Islands, you could put it in Bermuda, in the Seychelles, you could put it in Panama, you could put it in Dubai, you could put it in Switzerland. So you can put your business wherever you want. And that's because of a particular set of laws based on English canon laws with regards to businesses actually being classified and treated for all intents and purposes as people, okay, as an entity in and of itself. So when you do that, your business has then got its own nexus, and that nexus ought to be within that particular tax jurisdiction. So you could be in Australia and your business could be in Dubai. And so any business profits would then be taxed at Dubai's rate, which is 0% tax. Okay. And that sounds awesome. We'll be billionaires. However, the problem comes when you try and get the money from Dubai back into Australia, because as soon as you do that, that money then becomes subject to Australia's tax, and it gets taxed at the prevailing rate for the money. Okay. So you can get the money tax free by putting your business into another tax jurisdiction. Absolutely, you can do that. And that's actually quite simple to do. The more complex side of it comes when you try and get the money, try and spend the money in Australia, for instance, when you try and get the money into Australia. That's when the complexity happens.